Hi besties, welcome again to my channel. It's good to have you all here again. If you've not subscribed, please do also subscribe by hitting the subscribe button, and if you have, thank you so much for supporting the videos. So today we're going to be talking about how I landed a summer analyst role, a technology summer analyst role at Accenture in 2021. Okay, so let's get into it. All right, so I think it was December 2021. So I'd registered and attended the 2021 Afrotech conference that we know about. So Afrotech is one of the conferences that is being held in the US every year, I think. So there you get to, attend different programs, different talks, and they also host tech career events as well, where, numerous organizations come and, scout for talents to fill their vacancies in the organization. So I attended this conference in 2021, and I think the first day, it was a 3-day event, and I think the first day passed. I didn't go to speak to any of the recruiter just because I felt like Accenture was a very big organization. I mean, they're a very big organization. It's a Fortune 500 organization, right? Don't get me wrong. So, but yeah, I passed the Accenture booths the first day. The second day as well, I did not get to speak with any of the recruiter at Accenture. And then I think that the evening of the second day, I spoke to one of my friend, Dami, and I think at the time he had gotten the offer, so he spoke to me and was wondering why I did not speak to any of the recruiter. And so I told him like I felt like they might not, when you feel like an organization is out of your league. That was how I felt, not knowing that I had the experience, I had what it took to secure that internship. I think that I was at that moment that I stopped disqualifying myself before anyone else did. So I went for it. I think the next day I was like the first person to, after the conversation, I was so motivated. And I think the third day I was the first person to arrive at the conference. It was a metaverse, virtual environment. And so like the third day, I was literally the first person to get into the metaverse. I just, stood at the Accenture booth with my little avatar because, we're just moving around with our avatars. So I stood there, and at the time people started coming in, the recruiter met me at the booth, and she was very surprised. Like, I don't think something like that happens often. So she met me at the booth, and we both introduced ourselves. I just spoke about a little bit about myself, and she introduced herself as well. I spoke about the role I was interested in and why I was interested in the role, so to speak. So yeah, and she talked to I asked her questions about the role, some of my questions about the role. What are the expectations, when you join the organization in the first few, weeks to months? What are the expectations and all of that? So she gave me an overview of the role basically, and sent a link for me to apply. And then when she sent the link, I applied, and that same evening I got an email asking to complete an assessment. So so I got an email to complete an assessment, of which I did, I think the following day or the following day. So it was the combination of quantitative and some scenario based questions, calculations, some mathematics involved, some calculations and all of that. So yeah, I completed it the next morning, and I submitted, and the following week I got an interview invite, an initial call invite from one of the recruiter. Yeah, so we scheduled the time to speak and have the initial introduction and all of that. So, and discuss my background basically. And so yeah, I spoke to the recruiter. So they came for the interview, and we had a very good conversation about my background and why I was interested in the role and why I think I would be a good fit for that role. Right, so we spoke, and I asked a couple of questions after she was done interviewing. I asked a couple of follow-up questions. So the interview went very well. It ended on a good note. In fact, we both laughed out of that interview. I can't remember the question or like what she spoke about, but I know that it ended on a very good note, and I had a feeling that they were going to reach out for the next round. And so that passed, and then the following week, I think, or no, I think the same week or something, the recruiter reached out to me, to schedule the next round. And in that next round, I would have to do a presentation and also do a case study, scenario-based interview as well. So, yeah, I was finally invited to attend the next and final round of the interview. In that final round, it was in different segments. I had to do a presentation, where you get to pick a technology, and also pick an industry. It could be AI. You can pick AI or data analytics or something. Just pick something and then pick an industry. Could be any industry, and talk about how this industry can leverage this technology. All right, so I picked an industry. I picked a technology. I think I picked artificial intelligence at the time. So yeah, I picked that, and I prepared how I think this technology can be leveraged in this industry. And I spoke about the opportunities that this particular industry can leverage on. The opportunities that this particular industry can harness. With the use of this technology. Okay, so yeah, I made a presentation on that, and then one of the things I did differently in that presentation was that it was a two-way presentation. So, after presenting maybe like my first 2 slides or 3 slides or thereabout, I paused a bit to engage the interviewer, ask for his thoughts on something, and then continue answer the question, ask for his thoughts on some part of the presentation, and then he was able to give his own input during the presentation. And then after he gave his own input, I continued with the rest of the presentation. So yeah, I continued with the rest of the presentation, and at the end I was able to ask questions, and to the best of my ability or to the best of my knowledge, I was able to provide reasonable answers to those questions. And then after the presentation, there was a case study interview. There was a case study interview and a scenario-based interview as well. So the first part of the interview was like 3 different parts: the presentation, the case study, and scenario based. So once I was done with those 3 parts, I moved to the final round of the interview, which was the behavioral interview. And I remember in the interview, the recruiter mentioned she had this number of questions to ask. I think it was like 20 questions or thereabout to ask, 25 questions. And yeah, and so we started with the first, the second, the third. She was actually standing to ask those questions. So yeah, you have to be prepared to be in that kind of interview. Okay, so yeah, and started asking the questions 1, 2, 3, and I was also answering. I already prepared for the behavioral part as well. I prepared my, there are some of them that you have to, you might not necessarily prepare, but you have to just think about it on the spot and give your answers. And then I would advise that when you are approaching this kind of questions, right, behavioral questions, you want to follow the STAR approach very well. Okay, the STAR stands for situation. That means give us some context. What was the situation around what you're talking about? And then the T stands for task. What exactly did you do? Not what exactly did your team do? You want to make it a I thing. What exactly did you do? And then the A is the action. What action did you take to solve that thing? So, for example, if you're being asked this question of, tell me about a time when you had to deliver, when you had a tight deadline. Okay, yeah. So you want to give it the context. You want to talk about the situation, and then the task, what exactly you did, and also the action and the result. All right, what was the result of what you did? How did it? Were you able to meet up with the deadline? Were you not able to meet up with the deadline? If you were not able to meet up with the deadline, what exactly could you have done differently? Okay, or if you were able to meet up with the deadline, what exactly did you learn from it? Or if you're not able to meet up with the deadline, what exactly did you learn from the experience? What exactly could you have done better? Okay, so yeah, that's the approach I would advise you to follow. Okay, so yes, and as soon as that behavioral interview was done, it was, I asked questions. It was a very long interview, but yeah, you should always ask questions, even if it was a 4-hour or 5 hours interview. At the end of the interview, you should ask questions. Ask questions. That shows that you have some interest in the organization. You have some interest in the role. You're very interested in that role. Okay, so yeah, ask questions, ask relevant questions. So what I would advise is that you prepare those questions beforehand. prepare those questions beforehand. That could be like three questions. And you can ask, one of the important questions that I always like to ask is, what are the expectations in the first few weeks or month? Okay, like what are the expectations for me in the first few months? So that way I get to know, I have an idea of what exactly I'm going to do, like right there and there as soon as I join the organization. Okay, and you can ask questions, always ask questions at the end of your interview. All right, so as soon as that was done, we just asked out of we just asked questions around the holiday because it was in December. So just ask questions in a way we want to spend our vacation and all of that. And yeah, she was very polite, she was very, like we just spoke about plans for the holiday, and that was it. And we ended the interview. And so I think the following week again, the following week I received a call from the interviewer. No, not from the interviewer, sorry. And as soon as as soon as the interview ended, before the interview, I had prepared a thank you email to send to my interviewers. Okay, so I prepared a thank you email. So that's one of the things you can do. As soon as your interview finishes, you send a thank you email to thank them for their effort and thank them for taking the time to interview you today. Okay, so yeah, I sent a thank you email, and then afterwards, the following week, I got a call from the recruiter. I think another recruiter, and I don't know. I initially thought like maybe I did not get the offer because she called me to tell me that my recruiter had been changed. Okay, so as soon as she told me that she was a new recruiter assigned to be my recruiter, so to speak. So as soon as she told me that she was a new HR assigned to me, I asked her that I interviewed a couple of days to a week ago, and I'm here to receive the results of the interview. But I think she already knew that I got the offer, and so she let me finish asking the questions and everything. And then as soon as the conversation ended, I wanted to hang up the phone, and then she just told me that I got the offer. I've been offered a position as a technology summer analyst at Accenture, and congratulations, this that, and walked me through what the offer entailed. And I was so happy because that was my first offer. As soon as I that was my first offer in the year. So yeah, that was how I got my offer at Accenture. Yeah, I will talk about how I landed my offer at Amazon in the next video, and also discuss tips that can help you ace your interview at Amazon. So yes, let me know if you have any questions. If you are applying to Accenture, let me know if you have questions about the interview, the presentation, the case studies, the case scenarios. Yeah, let me know if you have any question, and if you're looking to interview very soon, please reach out if you need clarity on anything. I'm happy to give some tips or advice before you go in there to interview. So yeah, thank you very much. That will be the end of the video. Please continue to engage, like and subscribe, and yeah, I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.